But earlier we were talking about doing bloopers about who says the most, but I think I'm going to win it.
Are you sure about that?
Taking over pieces and shares of all big sky high. Check the movement is here, yeah. Yeah. It's one heart, one shot. Now the future is yours. Go.
Hi, this is Sean Purcell, and welcome to the Compass Studio. Today, I have the honor of talking to Gina Barnes. Good morning, Gina. Welcome.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I'm glad you're here. Did you know that you are our inaugural interview for the Compass Studio?
I just discovered that.
Doesn't make you nervous, does it?
Yes, it does.
It does. Good. Make sure you get that on camera. She's nervous. So what we're going to do is just find out a little bit about you.
Okay.
Right? You can share with your friends and family and your clients. Most of them know why they work with you, but the ones who don't know about you yet, I think they're in for a big surprise.
Cool.
So let's start with the beginning. Where'd you grow up?
I am a native San Diegan, which I think is rare.
That is rare.
And in San Diego, I grew up in Point Loma and lived there most of my younger life and then moved to Mission Hills.
So you grew up here. What was the very first job you had?
I think most people that had a career prior to real estate was always in the hospitality industry. So I waited on tables. I was a bartender, so I did all that stuff in San Diego.
As you were in preparation to going into real estate?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. In fact, my first 3 years in real estate, I continued to work in the industry, hospitality industry, until I was secure enough to just take on that only commission job.
Now, when you look back now, because now you're doing, I'm sorry, like $40 million a year in production, you don't have to worry too much about bringing in side income.
No.
When you look back, do you recognize that person anymore?
I stay humble with that. And I remember even 10 years in the business when I was consistently producing, I still was fearful. Oh my gosh, am I going to have to go back to waiting on tables? So
Wow.
that I was always motivated by fear. So maybe that kept me moving forward. But today, not so much.
How long did it take before you truly got, this is it, I'm good, it's my career, it's not going anywhere?
As I developed more confidence in the business, like really understanding my contract, really understanding the questions I was going to face every day, really understanding the neighborhoods and the product that I was selling, and I got more confident, that kind of went away. So, you just always have to stay on it, but it did go away for me as the confidence grew.
So you never had what we call a real career before
No,
real estate.
this is my career.
That's another rarity, right?
Is
A
it?
native San Diegan, I would guess 90% of all real estate agents, this is a second or third career.
Okay.
Very few people actually went into real estate. No wonder. That's fantastic. Did you always know?
When I was about 18 years old, I remember, and I started real estate at 24, walking by this real estate office in Mission Hills, and they had pictures in the window, and a feeling came over me, and I had nothing to do with anything. And I said, I think I want to work there one day. And that was the first real estate brokerage I worked at. It was a little independent brokerage in Mission Hills, and I don't know how or why that happened, but it did.
That actual one that you walked
That
by, you ended
actual
up,
one.
do you remember the name of it?
First Mission Properties.
Are they still around?
No, they sold to Prudential at the time.
What do you think is the best part about being a real estate agent?
I think it's waking up every day and having a new journey. Like, you don't get bored. You have something new to do every day. And the people that you meet, many of my clients have become lifelong friends. So I think that aspect of it. And then also, real estate is much more viewed today, I think, as a profession than when I started. It was like, the school teacher that had the second job. But
Right.
so I think that element of professionalism has also been good for me.
So I have to ask now, what's your least favorite part about being a real estate agent?
Probably the lack of flexibility. I'll get resentful sometimes. I'll think, oh, today is Sunday. I'm going to definitely take it off. I have nothing booked. And then by 9 o'clock, I have phone calls that say, could you show me this or could we do this? And I really do my best to stay humble and grateful that I get those calls, but sometimes not being able to control when you're a yes person, and you don't, I'm always saying, yeah, I'll accommodate you. Sure, I'll do that. Then you feel a little like you don't have time for yourself. So that's probably my least favorite.
If you were going to share a secret about becoming successful in this industry, what would it be?
Buyers and sellers today can get so much information online.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we have to be so professional. Like if I'm showing in a neighborhood that I'm not as familiar with, like my own backyard, I'm still one of those agents that do the dry run. I drive the 6 homes I may be showing, making sure that I
Wow.
know the little nuance. So I am not the blind leading the blind. They expect a very professional agent that knows what they're doing, and it's impossible to know every neighborhood. But if you can carve out time to really hunker down and get that learning curve so that you can show that you care and that you can add a little nuance, like, oh, the next home we're visiting, I know it might not look great from the street, but check out how private it is, to be able to offer some insight.
Were you taught that, or is that just always something you felt needed to be done?
I remember the scariest thing for me when I first started, and many people listening to this are not going to relate. Um, we had Thomas Brother maps
Mm-hmm.
where we had to like tape together the pages and the route in which we were going to be showing. And the scariest part for me was, first of all, I like have mechanical dyslexia. I like figuring it out on a map was horrifying. And if I would make wrong turns and either someone was following me or in my car, I would have been humiliated.
Mm-hmm.
So I would avoid that by all costs. So I would do practice runs and, just amortize my day by learning more about the neighborhood and the homes.
So it
And
was
I
born
still
of
do that.
necessity.
It was a necessity because I didn't want to be humiliated.
Of all the things that you've accomplished in this business, and there's quite a few, what are you most proud of?
Probably the relationships that I've
Mm-hmm.
developed, not only with the clients, but the agents in the industry are some of my best friends. Those relationships, even if they're casual, have opened up so many doors when you present an offer and somebody knows that you're earnest and that you have your cards on the table, they want to work with you. I mean, those relationships have been really important.
It's an odd industry when you think about it, because you're in competition with these other agents right up until one of us gets a listing and one of us gets the buyer. Then you're in cooperation with that same person.
Mhm.
How do you handle that?
In the big picture, it seems like you're in competition a lot, but
Mm-hmm.
in reality, there's been very few times in my career that I've really butted heads in competition. Much of my business is repeat and referrals,
Mm-hmm.
and then the geographical aspect of it, if I have, and I do have an area that I work, then you're more likely to have that direct competition. But it happens so little, but and when it does happen, it really comes from a place of respect. It's
Mm-hmm.
like if a colleague gets the deal, it's like congratulations,
Right. Can't have all of them.
No,
Wouldn't want them.
no,
So from you, it's mostly cooperation.
100%.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's part of my listing spiel with my clients too. When they talk about marketing, I'll say the one of the biggest things I do for marketing that you won't see is those extended relationships open up so many doors for your listing. When I pitch your listing or when I, talk about your property, um, just putting my brand on it
Mm-hmm.
elevates the experience for a lot of agents. They know that it's going to be what I say it's going to be.
Hmm.
So it is a huge tool.
One of the big benefits to the clients is the connections you have.
Yeah.
And you don't see that on paper, but you
Right.
see it once the transaction goes.
Right.
That's powerful. I'm hesitant to ask you this question now. So, of all these relationships you've made and all these agents you've met, without mentioning names, of course,
Uh-huh.
who's the craziest? Describe the craziest agent you've ever met.
Okay, so that would be without almost a retired agent at this point who just incessantly talks about everything, including what the seller will do, take. So whenever I would negotiate with her, because she had a lot of listings in my hood at the time,
Mm-hmm.
I could spend 10 minutes just asking her questions. She'd answer every single one of them. So I always felt bad, like, ooh, I'm really getting unfair advantage. But then I felt like Oh, well, so that was crazy to me being in this profession. That was crazy.
Maybe that client should have hired you.
Yeah.
Let's see. I had some other interesting questions. Um, oh, tell me about a client that's touched your heart.
Wow, so many of them. Just yesterday, I got an email from a client who was lovely to work with. They were my seller, and then I helped them purchase something. And when we went to purchase, it was this crazy market where they were up against many multiple offers, and it was a real learning curve because they had sold about 5 months prior to that and
Hmm.
went into a rental, and the market wasn't quite as hot when they sold, and then it was this crazy market when they
Tough
went to
timing.
purchase. Tough timing. We ended up finding what I thought was a great house for them. And I got an email from them yesterday that said, "Thank you for being on our journey. We would have never, you know, this house exceeds our expectation. We would have never been here without you." And
Hmm.
just when you feel bad, like, ooh, their timing wasn't quite right, and you take it a little personal, you get something like that. And it touched my heart. They're just such genuine people.
Wow. Most of the top agents I talk to, it's those kinds of feelings are the juice. It's the
Hmm.
reason you keep coming back.
Yeah.
Because it's not an easy business, would you
No.
say?
No, I tend to be lucky with my clients though. I mean,
Hmm.
for the most part, I have really nice people.
You must attract them, do you think?
Maybe so.
Do you believe in that law of
Yeah,
attraction?
yeah.
What's the strangest lead you've ever gotten or source for a lead? Do you have anything like that?
So I used to, back in the early 90s, I was representing Great Western Bank in some of their foreclosures.
Hmm.
And I had this asset that was assigned to me, and I had it for over a year. They would fumble on the payments, make it current. And so every month or so, I would have to do a drive by and what we called a BPO at the time, which was a broker price opinion to
Hmm.
determine value. And I must have done 30 of those on this particular asset. It was in Pacific Beach.
30
30
of the same
BPOs,
property?
same property, because they would cure the deficiency and then it would fall back into delinquency. And so the bank's always wanting to know what's the value, what's the
Did they
value.
think the value was fluctuating that much?
Well, hear me out. So I happen to be out of town. I did the price opinion before I went. I was actually on my honeymoon, got back into town, and that was waiting for me another opinion. So I'm like, gosh, how could the condition change so much?
Hmm.
So I go to drive by the property, and it's on Diamond Street in Pacific Beach, and I'm looking like 2221, 2223, 2225. Wait, back up. 2220, and I know what the house looks like because I've been there many times driving by. The house was gone. No kidding. There was an alley in the back and the garage was still there, but the actual house that I was hired to do this opinion of value was missing. So I'm like, how many house movers are there in town? And what had happened is one of the neighbors called the bank and said, they're dismantling this house, which is why they assigned me to go there again. And when I did the last opinion of value on it, the house was more valuable in PB without the house on it and just a vacant lot.
Really?
Yeah, but I actually had somebody steal a house.
So the house got stolen
Yeah,
in the dark of night,
yeah,
basically,
it was
and
moved.
your BPO came back higher.
Yeah. And the asset manager who wasn't from California said, "How could that be?" And I said, "It's the
Right.
beach, it's land, and it was a fixer. Now they don't have to get the demo permit. Like somebody could just start building."
That's going to be a first.
I
I've
think
never heard
so.
anybody had a house stolen
Yeah.
underneath them physically.
Yeah. So that was the oddest thing that's happened to me.
Wow. What makes you feel inspired?
Compass.
Compass.
Yep.
So I was going to ask you, why Compass? Why are you here at Compass?
I have always been like the most loyal person. I just told you I started at that little boutique. I
Hmm.
really never left the boutique. The boutique was purchased by someone else, and then I eventually left Prudential for another boutique. And it was a hard decision to come to Compass, but I will say, to sum my experience up, I have never felt more independent and supported at the same time. So I needed a change. I kind of feel like I'm maybe in the last 10 years of my career, and I just liked what I was seeing, and
Hmm.
I wanted to be a part of it, and more than that, I didn't want to be left out. If
That
that makes any
it
sense.
does. It makes that.
Okay.
We went through the same thing of,
Yeah.
I think this train's moving, and I'm either
Yeah.
going to get on it or I'm going to miss
Yeah.
it.
So the support has been amazing.
Tell me more about that. Like, what makes you feel supported?
Well, first of all the staff members, like you have, the technical support, you have the marketing support. I
Hmm.
was one of those agents that was always and still am looking for how can I make my job more efficient? How can I, and I'm paying for this product and that product and this other product and trying to learn it all.
Hmm.
And spending a lot of hours doing that. And I just felt that Compass already had, like, they're interviewing their agents saying, what can we do to help? What makes your job easy? And they don't just hear what you say, they actually act on it.
Hmm.
So it was just an environment that I had never been a part of. So I just feel so supported by them, Compass, wanting to provide the services that really matter to us so that we can do what we do best,
It's a
not
big
sit
time
around and do the
savings, right?
marketing part.
Right.
It's being in front of the client.
It's all integrated so that you can go out and do the one thing that
Yeah.
only you can do.
Yeah.
Um, if you could change something, what would it be? About yourself, about Compass, about real estate? What if you could change one thing? What would you change?
Gosh, that's a hard question. I don't know what it would be. I mean, I think the industry has already started to evolve into such a professional platform.
Hmm.
It wasn't so much like that when I first started. I always wished that the bar was a little higher. If I could change, I think the newer agents today, it would be great if they actually did their own transactions, because today we have the transaction coordinator, we have
Hmm.
these support people that help us so much. But if you don't have the grassroots, like, I mean, the contract's always changing, but I remember, I would really read it. I would really understand it. I would stay on top of it. I would preview the properties, those
Hmm.
basic things, where today I'll have an agent show up to show one of my listings, and they won't know anything about the neighborhood. So I think I would change, maybe that bar to, have the most professional agents doing the basic things to
Right.
so that they understand. It's okay to give the transaction to the transaction coordinator, but you should really understand everything that needs to go in your file, not be a paper pusher, but actually understand what you're doing.
And that way you know if it's going right or if something's
Yeah.
going sideways,
Yeah.
you actually know.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. What would you say is a public perception of real estate that isn't true?
That agents are just making, super big paychecks and not working hard. I think the opposite is true. I
Hmm.
think, we do a lot of work that we never get paid for. In public service, even, we want to be the resource for our clients. I have clients call me all the time. They're not interested in buying or selling, but they have a real estate question, or my mother died and who do I need to do for this?
Hmm.
So I think that we work hard for a lot of money, or we don't work hard for a lot of money, is the wrong perception. I think yeah, I think that's it.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
There's, I think, probably a lot of real estate agents that don't work that hard and don't make any money at all.
that's true.
But the people like you, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Do you have a coach?
I have had coaches on and off in my career. Currently, no, because I get a lot of that from our office
Hmm.
anyway. But I think it's important, and I want to get back into that. But I don't currently have a coach.
If you could have a billboard
Uh,
that just says one thing, what would it say?
Welcome to America's finest city. I would sell our city.
You love this city.
I do. I think it's very special. I have my brother in town here from Texas, and he wakes up every day and says, "Oh my God, the weather is so nice." Like every day, he's from
Hmm.
Texas. But you start to take that for granted, and then I mean, I just think San Diego's amazing. We live in the best city, in the best state, in the best. I mean, we're lucky.
Can't go wrong with that.
And if you want to buy a house, called Gina Barnes.
Is that what you small print at the
Yeah.
bottom? Good. If you knew that you could not fail, what project would you take on right now?
one of my biggest frustrations in real estate too is like, hiring and interviewing vendors for renovations.
Hmm.
It's time consuming. So I would love to have like a turnkey, almost like a contracting company to say, here's so and so, and they write the scope of work. They're fully insured. They go in and do the work. They um, do a super great job so that I can help sell the property for more money for my client. I would want to open that type of a contracting company.
And it's just for agents to know they can
Yeah.
rely on and trust and
Yeah.
use.
So we can do what we do best.
Interesting. Well, maybe someone out there watching is that idea and you can help them create it.
Yeah. Robert Revkin.
Robert, are you watching? For those who don't know, Robert Revkin is the CEO of Compass. You guys are on a first name basis, I believe, right?
Oh, not really.
Really?
I think he is with anybody. He's just that kind of guy, right?
He would be if he
Yeah.
met you, absolutely.
Yeah.
Me and Rob, we go back, nowhere. I haven't met him either, but I have been in the room and listened to him speak.
Yeah.
Pretty powerful. When he's talking, it's coming from the heart.
And pretty sincere. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I shouldn't even say pretty, just sincere.
If you could have dinner with any three people, living or dead, who would they be?
My mom, my grandma, and my sister,
Your mom, your grandma, and your sister.
who are no longer here.
Oh, just to talk to them again. That's not sappy. That's fantastic. Family's everything. Should we go to the hard-hitting questions now?
Yes.
I have one more question for you, and then there was a show called Inside the Actor's Studio, and he would always end it with 10 questions, the same 10 questions for everyone. So I'm going to
Okay.
go to that in a minute. But
Okay. In the hot seat.
in the hot seat, right. But here's this is a coaching question that I ask the agents and I coach. The most powerful words in the world are whatever words follow I am. Finish that statement. I am
Confident.
confident. Love it.
Courageous. Bold.
Confident, courageous, bold. You
That's
should
an
have that.
affirmation that I say. So,
You should have, I was going to say, you should have that written down somewhere.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, you ready for the 10 famous questions?
sure.
These were edited because some of them, the original questions, we can't really ask on a family show like this.
Oh,
so-
okay.
All right. What is your favorite word?
Yes.
What is your least favorite word?
No.
What sound or noise do you love?
You know when you click your glass together and you hear that?
Mhm.
That.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Definitely the chalkboard. I don't even know if they have chalkboards anymore, but I can still hear that.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be and why?
Oh, I'd love to be able to read people's minds because can you imagine the leverage you'd have in a negotiation?
Always looking out for the client. I don't know if I'd want to know what's going on in some people's minds.
I know, but you would also have the superpower of canceling out
To
what you
turn it
don't want to
off?
hear. Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm glad you have that. How do you cure a hangover?
By not drinking? No, actually, yeah, that would be it.
I had a boxing coach that once told me the best way to avoid a punch is not be there when it's thrown.
Hmm.
What profession, other than your own, would you like to attempt?
Oh, I want to be a private investigator.
Really?
Hmm. I
What
love
would you
research.
investigate?
Oh, anything. Real estate fraud.
You would know it when you saw it. What profession would you not like to do?
I wouldn't want to be a professional football player.
Okay.
It seems painful.
It seems painful. Where is your favorite spot in San Diego?
So in Point Loma, anytime I have an out of town guest, I take them here. I'm pretty sure this is where they film the postcards, but there's a street called Lucinda when you go over the crest and you can see the downtown skyline in the back
Mm-hmm.
and then all the boats in the harbor. And it's beautiful and it's a really wide view on a clear day when that water's blue. So I love that spot.
Wow.
Yeah, I go up there and park sometimes and just think if I'm early for an appointment and I need to kill some time, it's pretty. I
I-
also love La Jolla Shores.
But Lucinda's the name of the street.
Lucinda, yeah.
Okay, last question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Welcome, and you could be our exclusive realtor. Could you imagine?
Actually, I could imagine, yes, knowing you. That's fantastic. Thank you so much for doing this.
You're welcome.
It's been such a pleasure and an honor to be able to ask you these questions.
Thank you. It's been fun.
Ladies and gentlemen, Gina Barnes.
Working on the plot and the scheme. The true style trademark is at the edge of your dreams. I'm talking one shot for the kill. The breeze cut, freeze up, straight dropping the chills. I'm talking taking over pieces and shares. A bomb big sky high. Check the movement is here. Yeah.